Episode number 165.
Hello, you're listening to the Career Changemaker podcast. Having the courage to leave a career that you have worked hard to build and try something else can be tough. So in each episode, we dive into key career change strategies so that you have a clear understanding of what is required to transition into a new role or a new industry without feeling like you have to start at the bottom or have to take a massive pay cut, because ain't nobody got time for that. If you are ready for frank and honest discussions about how to become a career change maker, keep listening. I'm your host, lawyer turned career strategist and executive coach, Janine Esbrand. Hello. I wanted to come on and talk about 3 ways that you can change your career with confidence. And the reason why I'm coming on to talk about this is because I speak to so many women who have been feeling the way that they've been feeling about their careers for way too long. So when I ask them, how long have you been feeling this way in terms of wanting to make a move, wanting to make a change, wanting to make a transition, I'm hearing years, not just months, I'm hearing years. And it baffles me when I think about how much opportunity there is for people to really be able to step into work that they want to be doing and enjoy the work that they're doing. But yet people are resistant or hesitant to move and shift. And so I want to talk about why that might be, and then also give some practical action steps that you can take so that you can feel confident in making moves and confident in the decisions that you're making around the type of move you might be making in your career going forward. So let's dive in. When it comes to making a change, people can say that they want to make a move. People often say, I'm not happy where I am, or this doesn't feel like it's it for me. I know that there's something more for my career. But that acknowledgement, the acknowledgement that where you are right now isn't where you want to be, isn't enough, right? There needs to be the acknowledgement, and then taking action needs to come from that. But oftentimes people might say, yes, I'm ready to make a move, and might feel like they're taking action. So that could look like scrolling job boards, looking for inspiration, listening to podcasts, listening to articles to get the inspiration around what the next move might be. So it could feel like you are taking action, but really the reality is your situation isn't changing because that action isn't resulting in you actually making a move. So sometimes it looks like that. Sometimes it looks like you actually applying for roles and just hoping that something that looks good will turn into something great. So you might see an opportunity and say, oh, that sounds good. You might see an opportunity and say, oh, that piques my interest. And so you might just apply for that. And then you might see something else that piques your interest and apply for that. But these opportunities are very different. And so you just find yourself kind of taking a scattergun approach and applying for different things. And then thinking that, well, if I've applied for lots of things and I've put myself out there, whichever one comes back is the one that's meant to be. Right? Whichever one comes back as a yes is the one that is meant to be. And then that can make the decision for me. And I don't have to worry too much about like whether or not this is the right decision because I've casted my net wide. I have different options and then I can pursue one. That could be a way that you're approaching it if you're someone who's considering a career change. Or it could be that you're just not doing anything. It could be that you're complaining about where you're at. It could be that you're speaking to your spouse, your colleagues, your friends about the fact that what you're doing right now isn't right, but then nothing else is happening because life, right? Busy on a day-to-day basis, doing the work that you do right now and doing it well, having to juggle multiple things. So actually having the headspace and the capacity to think about what you really want to do is something that is a challenge. And so maybe you're doing nothing. So you might fall within any of those camps. And I want to, in today's live, just break down how you can be approaching your decision-making process differently so that you're able to move forward with confidence and know that the action that you are taking or the steps that you are taking will move you forward and will make a difference. So there's 3 different ways that you can be making a career change. And I want to talk to you about those 3 ways and how you can be thinking about them and applying them to your situation. 3 different ways. So let's start with the first. So, and before I go into that, often when people are thinking about a career change, it feels like it's an either or situation. Like I either need to stay where I am right now, or I need to go and do something completely different. And let me know if this resonates with you. Like, you either feel like, well, I can continue on this path that I have set myself on and that I've been on for some time, or I just need to throw everything out and do something different. And because that seems so vast and so broad, it can feel too much. The movement, the shift, it can feel too much. Like, how am I going to go from over here to over here? I can't even see how that's possible. But what I want to talk to you about is there's actually different steps on that continuum. There's different options. It isn't an either or situation. You don't have to go from what you're doing now to doing something completely different in order for you to transition into a role that has you feeling more satisfied and has you feeling like you're making more of an impact, has you really being in a place where you're enjoying the work that you do. It doesn't have to be an either or situation. So let's talk about the 3 different ways then that you can make a move. So you can either make a shift in your career, you can pivot in your career, or you can make a leap when it comes to your career. The shift, the pivot, or the leap. So I'm going to break down what I mean by each of those. So when it comes to making a shift, this is really where you're looking at your situation and you're saying, I'm not happy where I am right now doing this particular role, but maybe I need to make a transition by shifting upwards or laterally. So maybe the reason why I'm feeling undervalued and I'm feeling overlooked and I'm feeling stressed and I'm feeling frustrated is I really need to step up to the next level. And so the movement that needs to make is not that I need to go and move away from the career that I've worked hard to build. It means that I need to step up and I need to position myself so I can attract a more advanced opportunity so that I can make the type of impact that I want to make. So it could be that you're making a shift up, or it could mean that you're making a shift laterally. So maybe you don't want to do the role that you're doing right now in the current department that you're in or the current team that you're in, but perhaps you look at, can I move and do it somewhere else and do it slightly differently? So it's looking at, where am I now? And is there an opportunity for me to shift out of what I'm doing, which I can do in a way that doesn't require there to be much effort on my part, but I'm just able to take my skill set and I'm able to shift it somewhere else within my organization, or it could look like you shifting into a very similar role within another organization. That's the shift. The next one is the pivot. So this is where you're saying, okay, the role that I'm doing right now is something that perhaps I don't want to do, but I do like the industry that I'm in, or I do like the company that I'm in. So a pivot is where you're deciding to do something slightly different. So you're no longer doing the same type of role, but you're using your transferable skills and your skill set to work in a environment that may be similar to what you've been working in. So you're coming in with a different skill set within the same industry or with the same company, and you're pivoting your experience and you're applying it in a different way. So that could look like you're using the same skill set in a different organization or within a different industry, or you could be staying in your industry and then you could be changing like what it is that you're doing. So it can work either way, but ultimately you're still connected to what it is that you've been doing and you're using it in a different environment. So that's the second way. And then the leap is when you're literally just changing everything. So you're deciding, I'm going to switch roles, industries. I'm going from, like I did, going from being a lawyer to being a coach, like completely different industries, completely different infrastructure, like everything's different. So that's when you're taking a leap. Now, each of those different options are open and available. What is important to consider is, what is important to you right now in this stage of your career? Because sometimes when we're trying to make career change decisions, part of the reason why it's a challenge and it feels like a struggle and there is resistance around actually moving is because we're trying to make the decisions in a vacuum. Like, it's like, okay, I'm just thinking about my career right now. What should I do about my career? Sometimes bypassing the fact or not fully acknowledging the fact that your career isn't something that happens in isolation. Like, there's work-life integration. Your work and your home life, your personal life are fully connected. So when you're thinking about making a career change, you can't make the decision just based on what's going to happen to me in my workplace or what am I going to be exposed to in my workplace. It's also about saying, okay, what's going on in this stage of my life? Where am I in this stage of my life? And what do I want in this stage of my life? So you could be in a season where you know that I don't have capacity or I don't have time or I don't want to dedicate time to fully retraining and doing something completely different. And so it might make more sense for you to focus on, can I make a move by doing a shift, or can I make a move by doing a pivot? Because making a leap is not going to be conducive to how I want to be showing up and living my life right now. Or it could be that I know that I have the time and the energy and the inclination to do something completely different. So a leap seems more attractive to me because I know that where I am right now is just not working for me. So it's about you really thinking about, let me step back from my career and what else is going on in my life that I need to consider that can help inform this decision that I'm making. Do I make a shift, a pivot, or a leap when it comes to my career change, rather than taking the approach where people are like, I just want to do something different. What else would I do? It's like, yes, that is so broad. There's so many potential options. But when you narrow it down and really think about what type of change do I need to make, you're able to make that change with confidence. Because you narrow it down and you exclude some of the options and you say, no. For me right now, I want to focus on doing a shift. I want to see what are the opportunities that could be open to me if I dedicated my time and my energy to shifting. Or you might say, I want to focus on pivoting. I want to focus on making a leap. But having that focus allows you to move forward with confidence instead of spinning your wheels where you are. And considering the other options means that you're really leaning into what's important for you and creating your own personal criteria, really diving into self-awareness and raising your self-awareness and your understanding of your criteria points. Like, what is the criteria for you to feel good and to feel excited and to feel happy and to feel fulfilled in the career that you are seeking? Because if we don't know what we're trying to move towards, if we don't know what we're trying to build, it's really hard to know when you get there. So you can say, I want to feel more fulfilled. I want to feel more happy. I want to feel more valued. I want to feel like I'm making an impact. I want to make more money. You can say what you want, but we also need to get more specific around what does that even mean? Because a lot of the times we talk in relative terms, right? It's like, okay, more money to one person means something very different to another person. It's all relative. So what is that relativity for you? Like, can we get specific around what it is you're actually trying to move towards and what it is that you're trying to create? Because then you're able to look at opportunities differently and ask yourself the question, okay, this opportunity over here looks interesting. I'm drawn to it. I don't know why I'm drawn to it initially, but when you dig in, you can ask yourself, well, does this fit within the criteria? Does this fit within the things that I have identified about myself in terms of my workplace preferences, my values, my strengths, what's important? Does it fit? And if it doesn't fit, then it's easy for you to move on, disregard that, and look at other options. So this is why it's really important. It's a foundational step when I work with my clients to get this nailed. Like, what are we trying to build when it comes to your career, rather than approaching it from a place of, I just need to get out. I just need to get another role. Because what we don't want to happen is you put in time and effort to transition from where you are now and only to find yourself 6 months down the line, 12 months down the line, feeling the same. Who wants that? We don't want that. So as much as possible, we want to make sure that you're fully aware and you understand what kind of decisions you're making, so that when you make them, you're doing it from a place of confidence. You're doing it from a place of, okay, I know I haven't walked this path before. I know I haven't done this before, but I've gathered enough data and I feel like I've done enough of the background work to be able to assess whether or not this opportunity is the right opportunity for me, rather than feeling like it's a whim, feeling like it's like, oh, I just hope it works out. We don't want to rely on hope. We don't want to rely on hope. You've worked too hard in your career so far for you to be moving in a space of just hope. And there is space for hope in your career development and advancement. There is space for that, but there's definitely the need for you to be able to rely on data and have an understanding of what it is that you're looking for, so that you have a criteria that you can match things against. I've had so many conversations with clients of mine who have seen opportunities and got excited about them. And when I say to them, okay, this sounds good, but can we just revisit your criteria? And based on what you said you wanted before, you tell me, is this aligned? Is it fully aligned? Do you feel like it's going to give you what it is that you said you wanted? And a lot of the time, their answer is, no, probably not. It sounded good, but now that you've said that, and I think back to what it is that I want, is probably not the best opportunity for me. And then we kind of explore, okay, why? Why is it not the best opportunity? And then they're able to identify which parts of the role are not going to tick the most important boxes for them. And then they can say, yeah, okay, I'm going to disregard this. And I feel okay with that because I know why I'm disregarding it. And I know now what else I'm going to look for or what else I want to focus on. So having a criteria is super, super important. So if you're in a space now where you're saying, okay, I know I want to make a move, but I'm not moving, I haven't been taking action. Part of the reason is that you haven't established what your criteria is and you don't yet know what type of career move you need to make in this season of your life. Do you need to make a pivot? Or do you need to make a shift? Do you need to make a pivot? Do you need to make a leap? Like understanding what it is about your role that's causing you to feel dissatisfied is a great indicator for you to be able to identify which of those is a great place to start exploring, but really looking at how do I audit what's going on in my career so that can help me to identify what needs to change rather than doing it from a place of what sounds good. So that's kind of what I wanted to share. So 3 ways that you can change your career with confidence. To summarize, you can change your career with confidence by making a shift into a new role, upwards or laterally within your organization or externally. You can make a pivot in your career by you taking the same skill set and applying it in a different industry or a different space. Or you can move into a different industry but use your similar skill set that you have. And lastly, you can make a leap where you decide, I'm going to leave this role, I'm going to leave this industry, I'm going to go from being, my example, a lawyer to a coach. I'm going to go from being a lawyer to a speaker, a professional speaker. I'm going to go from being an accountant to a project manager. Like there's so many different transitions that people make. But if you want to make a leap, it's about you saying what I'm doing right now, the path that I chose so many years ago is not the right path for me. And now that I know myself better, now that I understand myself, now that I've grown as a person and my values have shifted, what I thought I was getting into or what I knew I was getting into was okay for the younger version of me. But this version of me is no longer working and I want to make a shift. If you're in that phase or in that space, then it may be a leap that you need to make. And then it's figuring out, okay, how do I make that transition? And what is going to be the time frame for me to make that transition? But ultimately, whether you decide that you're going to make a shift, a pivot, or a leap, it comes down to you making a decision about making the move in your career rather than just staying in the role that you're in right now, feeling frustrated, feeling like it's not a good fit, feeling like you're being overlooked and undervalued. It's about making a decision to move forward because there's too many people who are staying in roles for too long because they just don't want to make that decision. And ultimately, they are missing out on an opportunity to really make the type of impact they could make if they were in the right role. Like if you have the right people sitting in the right seat, so much awesomeness can happen, both for the organization and for you as an individual. And so I just encourage you to not procrastinate. It's the second month of 2022. If you have been saying for a long time, I need to make a career move, like now's the time. Now's the time for you to figure out, how do I make it? What is it that I want to do and move forward? So many options, too many options. And so we do nothing. And what I want you to do is narrow down the options by using your personal criteria to determine, okay, which path am I going to pursue? So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you. Bye. This episode is sponsored by the Career Changemaker program. Are you ready to make a change in your career? Are you tired of coasting in a role or career that is no longer a good fit? Are you ready to create more impact, feel more fulfilled, and earn more money from the work that you do? If you are nodding your head and what I shared resonates with you, then lean in because I want to share more with you about the program. This is my signature coaching program that is designed to help you to identify and make your next best career move. I created this program because I recognize that too many amazingly talented women are missing important direction and strategy for their career development and advancement. In the corporate world, there is an unspoken, invisible playbook that determines how you should maneuver to experience the type of career satisfaction that you desire. The problem is, so many women have the playbook with a few pages missing. And if you have pages missing, you're in a position where you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know what you don't know, how can you fix it? So I really want to help you. Let me help you fill in the gaps so that you can understand exactly what is required to take you from where you are now to where you want to be in your career so that you can feel fulfilled in the work that you're doing, so you can be excited about the work that you do, and so that you can feel the impact that you're making through the work that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Make your application to join the Career Changemaker program today by heading over to www.careerchangemakers.com/program, and I look forward to hearing from you. If you enjoyed listening to today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the show so that you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. Also, I would love to know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode. I invite you to head over to our Career Changemaker community over on Facebook so that we can continue the conversation over there. Head over to likewhatscoaching.com/join and it will direct you straight to the group. I look forward to seeing you there.